Hey, everybody. Welcome to Show Us Your Worst. If this is your first time joining us, Show Us Your Worst is where we invite literally every person we've ever met to try out any sort of wacky, weird, creative impulse that doesn't seem to fit into anywhere. And this is a very special edition of Show Us Your Worst, the Mom's edition. As we all know, today is Mother's Day. And so to kick things off, I just want to wish all the moms out there a wonderful Mother's Day. And I want to single out a particular mom in this moment who goes by Louise Mundy, who you might guess is my own mom. And my mom is awesome. And for so many reasons, one of them is that because she's actually supported me my whole entire life, especially when it comes to art. She comes to every single thing I do, especially whether it's a reading or a show, and no matter where it is, she's been there. And furthermore, I think a big reason why I went into art is because she herself is an artist. I mean, she crafts, she knits, she sews and quilts, she can draw amazingly, and she's absolutely hilarious. I bring this up because I don't think my mom often calls herself an artist. And that's a huge reason why we started this show, because we truly believe that every human being is an innate artist on a biological level. I think we kind of live in a culture that tells a lot of people that only a few people are artists. It's kind of turned into this like rarefied commodity. And that's actually why we created Show Us Your Worst, to prove that wrong, because we want everybody to come here and practice art. So thank you, Mom. I love you so much, and happy Mother's Day. Now, we have an awesome lineup, so let's go ahead and dive right into things. First up, let me get my list here. First up, we have a piece by Renee Roden, and on deck, we're going to have Steve Foglia. So up next, I would like to welcome Charlie O'Leary and Joe Doyle reading Renee Roden's Song of Songs. Take it away, guys, whenever you're ready.
I'm boring? She told me I was boring.
What?
Last night, she said, "You're boring."
You mean the sex was boring?
No, like, I'm boring. Me. I am boring.
So she just didn't finish.
She did. I think. I can't remember.
Not a great sign, dude.
This isn't about the sex.
Probably is.
I don't think that.
Don't worry about it, man. Bad sex is bad sex.
What sex is good sex?
Lots.
The sex was bad.
See, let it go.
Okay, but that wasn't all my fault. She wasn't great either.
You can't say that.
Why not?
That's sexist. Women can say men are bad. You can't say a woman is bad. That's being a porn head.
What?
You're basically saying no live woman is as good as porn. That's sexist.
That's definitely not what sexist is.
My friend sent me a Harper's Bazaar article about it.
Okay, but that's not what I meant.
About men needing women to...
I'm not saying that she wasn't as good as porn.
Wow, okay.
No, I just mean, like, it was bad, but we were having a good time.
Oh my God, okay, look.
You asked!
Oh my God. Well, someone wasn't having a good time.
Fuck off.
What did she say?
That I am boring.
That's the first thing she said to you while you were fucking?
No.
Okay, so what did she say before she said you were boring?
Nothing. She just kind of said it out of nowhere. We were just lying there. And she said, I am boring.
Well, most straight men are boring.
That is heterophobic.
That is not a thing.
Okay, fine. It's just mean.
I meant it in a nice way.
Dude, you're being a pain.
Sounds like a real Debbie Limptick, honestly. There are other fish in the sea, and you've got to shower before brunch with your mother.
Huh?
You really need a shower, man.
No, what do you mean, other fish in the sea?
I mean, you can get back out there. You've been seeing her for what? Just a month. Don't get broken up over it.
What?
What yourself? I'm trying to hype you up.
About what?
Just like, don't let this chick get you down, you know?
Her name is Sam.
That's what I was about to say, Sam. Don't let Sam get your testes in a twist. Go get him, Tiger. You know, you got to get back on the horse. Got to mount the steed again. Oh my God, straight sex must be so dull.
I haven't gotten knocked off a horse, Grant.
Well, obviously. I mean, I hope not.
The point is, what am I going to do?
Okay. 1, open up your phone. 2, open up Tinder. 3, swipe right. Bingo, you're back out there, back on the horse.
No, not that.
No?
How am I going to become interesting?
Excuse me?
I have to become interesting.
Nate, is this what's going to prompt your midlife crisis? Some Hinge girl told you were boring?
That's sexist, and I met her on Bumble.
Right, because you're woke.
Do you think I'm interesting?
That's a stupid question.
See, you think I'm boring too.
I'm the entirely wrong demographic. You don't have to be interesting to me, just ladies, I guess.
I want to be interesting to everyone.
You just have to be interesting.
You mean you're either born interesting or you're not?
Yeah, kind of.
But babies are all boring as fuck.
No, they're not. Some cry, some smile, you know? Some have hair, some are bald, some suck their thumbs, some don't. There's a lot of diversity in babies.
No, you don't know. Your baby could be Mozart or just end up a stoner gamer in the basement. You can't tell when they're little, when they're just a baby, because they're not anything yet. They're just not interesting.
Well, you're not a baby.
What's that supposed to mean?
I mean, you're an adult, so you're already as interesting as you're going to be already.
You mean you can't become more interesting as an adult?
No, of course not.
Seriously, dude? Then I'm fucked.
Well, I guess the point is you won't be anymore, and there's your problem.
No, that's bullshit. People grow all the time. They change all the time.
Yeah, when was the last time you grew or changed?
I mean, I'm human. I have a body. It makes new cells every day. That's growing.
You're deteriorating, genius. Different than growing.
I'm not deteriorating.
Everyone does eventually.
I'm not deteriorating. I'm stagnating.
Yeah, that's fair. Everyone starts deteriorating in their early 30s or stagnating in their 20s.
Really?
Oh yeah, right after college.
Shit.
Everyone peaks after losing their college weight, and then they stop being interesting 2 years after college.
Has anyone ever told you that you're boring?
Oh, of course.
Seriously?
Oh, all the time.
Guys tell you this, in bed?
You're so straight. Oh my God. Girls, guys, dads, grandmas, people on the street or in the grocery store line who are tired of looking at me.
And you just let them say it?
Sure, they can have their opinions.
Doesn't that bother you?
Not particularly. I think I'm very interesting.
But other people don't.
Their loss.
But people who are interesting to everyone. Because if something's interesting, well...
Not necessarily.
Everyone is interested.
There is no accounting for tastes.
Well, there should be.
An accountant would say that.
I'm not an accountant.
Another similarly boring job.
My job isn't boring.
Oh, please.
That's not the point. You don't understand at all. It's not the job. It's not Sarah. Oh God, I meant Sam.
Nice.
It's me. I've got to become interesting.
Where are you going? Brunch is in an hour.
Brunch is boring.
Thank you very much, Charlie O'Leary, Joe Doyle, performing that excellent piece by Renee Roden. Thank you so much, guys. All right, next up, we have a piece by my good friend Steve Foglia, and on deck we'll have a new bit by Taylor Riccio. Steve, take it away whenever you're ready.
Hello. So this is a weird one. I have, fortunately, I feel very grateful, a very good relationship with my mom, and I get to see her once in a while, and she's healthy. And yet, every single time in my life I've ever tried to write something for her, it ends up being either disturbing or sad, or both. This one is sad, and it's a poem, but weirdly, I also think of it as the sort of textual basis for a dance piece during which none of these words would be said. Now that's said. Here we go. From somewhere behind mom's bony cheeks, the hospital shirt sailing over her sunken chest, came the moan that whipped me out into the dark. 3 o'clock nearly. The crickets long dead and the birds laid down. I hear my boots crunch through the sagebrush as I race past the corrals, the barn, the irrigation ditch, and the rusted hulk of Big Ed's 3100. She'd reached for my hand, her skin transparent where it wasn't oddly shined. The moon above is bright and gibbous, circled by purring stars. If I keep running, my body might break apart, and that will be the end of it. Her eyes were marbled like the standing liquid in last night's dishes, still waiting in the sink. Mesquite shreds my cheeks and the backs of my hands as I blast hunched into the black womb behind the tank, and there I come upon the mare. She's on her side, the moonlight gathered around her belly, as if rising from the earth. Her groan at first, I think, is coming from the house. She glistens. And something clear or white peeks between her legs, then breaks into small hooves. Mom kept shoving away Dad's Bible and asking where I was. She wanted to look at me. He comes wet and trailing pink rope, darker than the dirt he falls into. In the morning, I'll mark him for a liver chestnut. Even now, I see his brindled hindquarters and his mane the perfect color of Mom's hair, lank with life's fluids. She rests with his hind feet still within her, and the foal's body completing her crescent arc. Steam draws silently away from their flesh and up above the leaves. When at last he emerges, the dam stands and snaps the cord between them, dripping a little blood. The brindled foal shakes and presses to his skinny legs. Not half an hour born, and already he can carry his weight. In the bedroom, Dad's thick hands were on my shoulder, pushing me towards her. He smelled like sawdust and a stale plug. After his mother delivers the last heaping red of birth, she rolls upright, and he sticks his nose under her, searching with his long head. He lunges. She begins to pivot round him, not loving the touch of his teeth. I want him so badly to have his milk. For the first time, I approach. She has seen me, saw me from the beginning, but this is different. He cocks his head back, skittering across the dirt and nearly falling. His dark eyes lift to mine. Mom's hair was long and full of waves and hung into my crib when the moon bent down to kiss me. I step again and she remains still. The foal has given me up for now, consumed by his first want in this world. I watch the plane of his jaw rock back and out and his lips wobble. Without thinking, my hand reaches in. I've curled my fingers into a hook. He grasps the pink nubs above the knuckles. I can feel his tongue sucking along my skin as I guide him to his mother's milk. The foal nurses while the dam licks and nips him clean. Mom dies before the sun makes it back around. Stop there.
Thank you very, very much for that, Steve. That was beautiful. Before we go on to our next piece, I also actually just wanted to bring up that we're also, since we've been doing these Show Us Your Worth online, and especially with everything that's happening right now, each show that we're doing, we're trying to raise money for a different foundation. And so this month, we're actually raising money for the Good Samaritan Hospital Foundation, which will actually go toward, all the money will go directly towards helping the communities impacted by COVID-19 all in the South Shore of Long Island. Also, just to be very transparent, this is also the area where I live, and actually my wife, Emily, aka Dr. E, actually serves as a resident in the OB-GYN program at Good Samaritan Hospital. And so she and all of her fellow residents have been working nonstop, as you can imagine, both in their labor and delivery area, but also in the ICUs, helping out with the impact of COVID. So I know right now might not be the easiest time to donate anything, and I know money might be tight, but if you do have any spare money that you can give, there's a link in our YouTube bio that you can give money to. So thank you guys very, very much. And now we're gonna go on to my good friend Taylor Riccio, and on deck is Kitty Boones. So Taylor, whenever you're ready.
Hey Max, thank you. Thanks for setting this up again. To be honest, I have to admit that last month, when we announced that we were going to be doing this particular show online, even at that time, I thought to myself, like, well, that's a little premature. Like, in a month, we'll be able to do it in person. But here we are. And now, if you told me that we were just going to be doing this a year from now, I'd believe you. So that's been a real change. I also have to admit that even though I knew that the name of the show was Mom's Edition, and obviously it's like the first Mother's Day in our house with the new baby, I didn't somehow put together that the bits were supposed to be about moms. And so I didn't do that. I'm not here to talk about moms, unfortunately, because for some reason I messed that up. No, of course, what I'm here to talk about is that 2 weeks ago, we got the official confirmation that Fish Summer Tour is postponed until 2021. So between now and the end of May, you can either put in for a refund for your tickets, or you can use those tickets next year. But it seems like it's gonna be a long wait. And at this time, I'm not really holding out hope for New Year's Eve or fall tour either. So we have a lot of time to kill until next July before we can see another live show. But this week I got an email from SiriusXM that they are doing extended free trials for about 3 months. And I remembered that when we were leaving Camden, the show in Camden in July of 2018, that my buddy Zach had the Fish Channel on, and it had a really interesting show with John Fishman on it. So I thought I'd sign up, and I will, what's going on here? Share screen. My screen is not giving me the option to share what I thought it was going to for some reason now. And that is going to be an actual problem for my thing. Max, are you there?
Hey, Taylor, I'm right here, buddy.
Do you know, can you see if as a host you have a setting that's preventing me from sharing my screen?
I don't think so. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can make you. Whoops. Do you have the option now?
I do not, but I might be able to do it in a clever way, which is going to be tough for me because I'm not too clever. All right, so I'm going to share a portion of my screen. What? Well,
Hold on.
unfortunately, the bit I've planned, I don't think is going to work, but it's okay because that was the whole bit anyway. Well, it would have been.
Oh no, Taylor. I'm so sorry. I don't know why it's not letting you share a screen.
It's okay. I know we even practiced it, but now you guys I can save it for next month.
You know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have an intermission in a little bit. We're gonna troubleshoot this. We're gonna get you back out in the second half, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Max.
Guys, this is what Show Us Your Worst is all about. We're figuring stuff out, trying stuff out on the fly. We'll make it work. It's all good. So, but for now, anyway, we're gonna go into our next performer, who I just met recently, and who's a wonderful singer-songwriter. Her name is Kitty Boones, and she's going to be performing a song. And then after that, we'll be taking a brief intermission. So Kitty Boones, whenever you're ready, come on out.
Hey guys. This is a new song that I wrote. I'm going to show you my worst. All right, here we go. I don't have the words or a sense of time since you've been away. I've nothing to say. The shelter of tuna fish swallow me underground. You're asleep with ghosts of coyotes. I've got scars going on down my back from the 5 different people I felt the need to please. You were the 2 red ribbons holding me at the sea. Back to the kingdom, I'll pray, 'cause you can't save me. Willing to be falsely accused of laying cobwebs over old wounds. Your instincts were stronger than the truth. Your green eyes lit up every room. Royalty ain't enough. Gifts stack up like broken bones of corpses and skulls in the back row. I'm still scared of snowball fights, and I really hate the cold. I've had hard times forgiving myself. I always feel like I'm getting too old. I don't have the words or a sense of time since you've been away. I've nothing to say. The shelter of tuna fish swallow me underground. You're asleep with ghosts of coyotes. I've got scars going on down my back from the 5 different people I felt the need to please. You were the 2 red ribbons holding me at the sea. Back to the kingdom, I'll pray, 'cause you can save me. Thank you, guys. So yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank
It hits your face, the day is new. Roll out of bed, go through the motions like you do. You're prone to tunnel vision, working till you die. Dedicated to the grind. Life is short, ain't got the time. So you keep on rolling, keep on rolling, keep on rolling. This self-inflicted variation that you lack. Just push on forward, there's no way you're looking back. Oh, it razor sharp like focus, cuts just like a knife. But you haven't got a life. Deep inside it don't feel right, but you keep on rolling, keep on rolling, keep on rolling. One thing can't be your everything now. Find the balance to proceed is what I think you need. Avoid constant walking round in circles. How you become complacent, baby. One thing can't be everything now. Can't be everything now. One thing can't be your everything The river, man.
All righty, gang. And we're back for Act 2 of Show Us Your Worth, Mom's Edition. Before we get into a new piece by my good friend Gordon Penn, I want to tell you a little bit about next month's show, which is on June 14th, because that, like this show, will be right around the time of Father's Day. We're going to be encouraging all participants to create things inspired by the theme of daddies. Daddies. That's right. And I think it's like the funniest thing in the world, but I think it's gonna be great. And so if that inspires you, if you're in a place where you want to create something, and if that can prompt something, we would love to have you. And as we always say, we not anything you want to create, we're not going to police that in any way. We take that as a very, very loose recommendation. And so if that stirs anything up, we would love to bring you in. And so we'll be sending out an e-blast out beginning of this week with that information for people who want to sign up, and with more information for next month on June 14th for our Show Us Your Worst Daddies edition. And so now I would love, let me make sure he's all set here. I would love to bring in my good friend Gordon Penn, and then on deck, we will have, we're gonna bring Goran, and on deck we'll have a piece by Kat Mosatea. All right, Goran, whenever you're ready, take it away.
I am ready. All right, so I come from a very big family. My mom had a lot of babies, and those babies had a lot of babies. So there were a lot of mothers in my family. So in honor of Mother's Day, here's a story about one of those mothers, my oldest sister, April, on the occasion of her first child. So my sister April's husband is away on business because he has a job to do, and it's job's a job. And the baby was a week early, so they didn't know, they got caught off guard. But my sister April, she doesn't panic. She's got her bag packed already. She preps everything. She locks up the house. She calls her OBGYN. She goes to the car and she drives herself to the hospital. She even takes the time to find a great parking spot. And she gets out of the car and she walks into the emergency room with this huge grin on her face. She's on top of the world, and it is like, it's perfect. They admit her, they take her into prep, they take her into the delivery room, and she sees her OBGYN's smiling face. But the baby's breech, which means that it's backwards, it's upside down. Normally it's the head down, the feet up, and this one it's coming out feet first. So they have to sedate her, and they take the baby, and she wakes up in recovery, which I have to mention, my family doesn't do anesthesia very well. So like we freak out. So April wakes up, she's freaking out, and she's trying to figure out where my mom is and where I am. And there's this really sweet nurse who's like grabbing her and holding her and letting her know she's in recovery. She's just had a baby. And the two of them end up crying. And then my sister asks if she can see her child. And the nurse says, you can't right now because her vitals were off. And after having come out of anesthesia so hard, they were gonna have to wait and let everything settle. And so she started to make small talk with my sister. And they're talking about how hard of a job it took. 5 years for them to get pregnant. And how they didn't care what the gender was. They didn't even come up with a name. They just wanted the baby. And then she asked if she can see the child again. And the nurse says no. And my sister's a little put out by that, but she, they talk a little more. And then she finally gets insistent and she says, no, I want to see my baby. And the nurse is like, you can't. She says, she snaps. She's like, fuck you. How dare you? It's my fucking child. Give me my fucking baby right now. And so the nurse says, fine. She goes out and she leaves the room. And a few minutes later, she comes back, door opens up. The nurse walks in and she's holding the baby by its ankle. And she looks at my sister. I remember sister telling me that. She looked her right in the eye for just a split second. And then she took the baby and she rings it over the foot of the bed. And she smacks it up against a mirror. Glass is like flying everywhere. And she spins the baby around in a big circle like a towel and walks over to a window and opens up the window and puts this precious little darling baby out the window. And my sister's like, ah! And the nurse just looks back at her. And she gets this huge grin on her face. And she's, April Fools! It was born dead. Happy Mother's Day.
Board and pen, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, sir. Next up, we have a piece from a good friend and a wonderful, wonderful playwright named Kat Mosatea. And on deck, we'll have Dirk Detlefsen. So Kat, whenever you're ready, come on out.
Hi. So I am going to just read a short monologue from a new play that I'm still writing. The play is about a bunch of girls who are all named Amanda Palmer, and they all have this secret ability to turn into cats. So this would be like the first monologue that begins the play. And what's special about the monologue is that it's written completely with words that do not contain the letter E. So as I read it, feel free to check that. Normally I would have a better actor than myself reading, so please excuse my acting abilities. This is just about the text. Thank you. So this is Amanda Palmer. A cat mood would start in my mouth, pull at my jaw and my gut, stir with a tingling lick all through my scalp, across the brink of my spinal column and down a broad swatch of my hip, skin turning to fur, fat furring throughout, to an upward jolt at my back, torso lilting to its limit until it would flip out into a long tail I didn't think I had. That tail would curl backward, long, lustrous, furry thing that would arch and contract, pliant as a glossy joint, wrapping around furnishings, ringing rims and margins, cupping chairs, scratching sofa cushions, flicking at curtains, a limb acting almost on its own volition. I didn't want it to stop, that onrush of rash agitation, as soon as dusk sank into night. A slow intuition, waking in lowing light, would soon climax to a kind of a dark animal fury, a fluid mania of hair and mouth and claw, a frantic arousal, as if running down a hill too fast. Mornings, back in my body, too human and too stiff with doubt and dismay, I would think about normal, what normal was for anybody who walks upright. I didn't want normal so badly, I'd wish that night insanity to stop. I know I have a turmoil dormant in my gut. On any random day, I can't say which wild way I'm apt to go. That's it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kat. That was beautiful. Thank you. Oh, okay, guys. Yeah, another round of applause for that. So next up, we have actually a good friend of my father, Larry Mundy. His name is Dirk Detlefson. And on deck, we'll have Philip coming up to close out the show. So Dirk, come on out whenever you're ready.
I'm here. Hello.
Oh yeah, Dirk, you're good to go. Take it away.
Okay, thanks. Let's see. I was not planning on reading this story, but I just created one yesterday about my mom. And well, here it is. It's a story called Unspoken. My mother, Mary, was born on Easter Sunday. She was premature, only weighing 2 pounds. She was known as Bunny. The year was 1931. The math is easy. She turned 89 on April 7th, but apparently Bunny still can't figure it out. Some things you need to know about my mom. She is kind, sweet, smart, funny, creative, and a talented artist. And she has an unconventional relationship with the truth. Lying about her age started as early as I could understand language. She met my dad on a cruise ship to Europe one summer in the mid-50s. He was quite dashing, sporting a beret and tuning up a bicycle he planned to ride around France all summer. They hit it off apparently, but as they disembarked in England, she thought they would never see one another again. As if by fate, some little mix-up in schedules put them on the same ship headed back to New York 3 months later. My dad was just about to begin his junior year at Dartmouth. He was 20. My mom had just graduated from Mass Art. She was 22. They dated for the next 2 years and married right after Dad graduated. Now, of course, Dad knew she was older, and that didn't bother him. But for some reason, when my brothers and I came along, Bunny wanted to be the same age as my father. Perhaps she thought it scandalous to be the older woman, but whatever her reasons, she shaved 2 years off her life. Since she was 30, 31, or 32, only they weren't. Little by little, my brothers and I figured out something was amiss, like when she had to give her birth date over the phone and it got whispery. We always knew she exaggerated every story, so if she was lying about her age, it was just mom being mom. She kept her little secret, and there was no damage done when we were all still a family. It was only after the divorce, and she started seeing a younger man, a much younger man, that the lie stretched to the breaking point. My brothers and I were all off at college, not really witness to the divorce, but of course, we all knew it was coming. Because it was painful, none of us came home that summer. We found odd jobs in our adopted college towns. Upstate New York was not a place any of us wanted to return. It's a place you run away from and never go back. When my dad moved out, Bunny was left with a house and a considerable mortgage. She hadn't worked in many years, so she had to take a job waitressing at a restaurant in one of the last of the old Catskill resorts. They had shows after dinner with B-list comedians and aging crooners. It was the end of an era. Those places are all long gone. This is where she met Stu, a musician in the house band. Stu played a pretty mean keyboard, but the pay was not that great. He was looking for an affordable room to rent, and Bunny had a large house nearby with nobody else in it, so he moved in. Since she said Stu was living in my old room. Do you mind? No, I said, I don't mind. Only that was a lie. I'm quite sure now that he never slept one night in my room. With none of her sons around, there was nobody to do any fact checking. God only knows what she told Stu about her age or the whereabouts of her 3 boys. As long as we all stayed away, things were fine. But I graduated from college and finished my summer job. I planned to go home before taking a trip to Europe, exactly what my mom had done all those years ago when she met my dad. I'd been down in DC for almost a year, and I thought it was time to pay her a visit. I drove my old Dodge Dart with 3 on the column shifter back to my mom's home in Hannah, New York. That's where I planned to spend the next 2 nights before heading down to JFK for my flight to Amsterdam. I pulled into the driveway, and my mom came running out of the house to hug me. But after that hug, the first thing out of her mouth was, I want you to meet Stu, but, she whispered, I want you to tell him that you just started college, that you were a freshman this year. You know, honestly, that would surprise or piss off most people, but coming from the Easter egg baby, I was not at all surprised. Of course, I was confused by the logistics of the whole thing. Why was I going to Europe as school was about to start for my sophomore year? If I had just finished my freshman year, what about my younger brothers? Where were they? Did they even exist? Don't worry, she told me. It's just that he doesn't need to know everything yet. We can figure that other stuff out when the time comes. So I went into the house and I met the man I now knew she loved. He was just a bit older than me, definitely under 30, a looker too. Mom always was a good picker. And so I started lying. What else could I do? She was my mom. And for the first time in a long time, she was with someone who made her happy. But it was damn near impossible not to screw this up. The cognitive gymnastics were excruciating at times. So many things I had to leave blank. 40 years now, I've been keeping that secret, and she's still with Stu. Of course, over the years, the Mystery Brothers resurfaced, and we all remained vague about our ages. In fact, we have never once mentioned them. We did that for our mom. Stu obviously figured out things long ago, but to his credit, he never brings up age either. Everything in that home is unspoken. 40 years, Mom. 40 years of lying for you. If that's not love, happy Mother's Day, Bunny.
Oh, thank you so much, Dirk. That was beautiful. All right. So guys, we're at the home stretch here. We got one more piece to go, and it's going to be some songs by my fellow co-producer, Philip Santos Schaefer. Philip, come on in whenever you're ready.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Philip Santos Schaefer. I'm like, oh, I always want to write something new for Show Us Your Worst, but I already had these songs about my mom that I really like and that I worked hard on, so I'm gonna play those tonight. This is from a project I've been working on called Overthrowsy. And Overthrowsy, that's a portmanteau of cozy and overthrow. And it's a series of songs and questions about why I hate Ronald Reagan. And so this is from that. And usually when I perform this, the sort of vision for this is it's very cozy and we're all in a room together and I tell you stories and play you songs and we drink wine and there's all these questions and, you know, obviously we're on Zoom, but it almost is the most cozy it could ever be because maybe you're in bed right now and if you're not, you know, maybe get into bed for this and it'll be like a sweet bedtime story. And imagine that I'm wearing a silk robe and we're all together around a make-believe fireplace. And I'm singing you this song. It's called Mama Says She Thinks That Ronald Reagan is the Devil, and it's not even because he cut funding from the NEA. Mama says she thinks that Ronald Reagan is the devil, and it's not even because he cut funding from the NEA. Mama says that when Ronald Reagan died, she rebelled. If I knew what I know now, then I probably would have done the same. It was 2004 when Ronald Reagan died. I was only 13. Ronald Reagan wanted to cut funding for Mossad, even though he was an actor just the same. And that's not even why Mama says that he's the devil and never made America great. One of Ronald Reagan's campaign slogans was "Make America Great Again." See, some of Mama's cousins were fighting for their freedom against people who Ronald Reagan paid. With money from the sale of weapons, some folks said they needed, even though it was congressionally forbade. I hate that the Iran-Contra affair is referred to as an affair. That just sounds like a fundraising event. And some of Mama's folks still live in Nicaragua, but she grew up in the USA. And later had a son who grew up to be an artist and really was very rarely paid because Ronald Reagan cut the NEA budget in half. Ronald Reagan sold weapons to Iran, even though Congress said that he had nada. But he took the money that the weapons made and gave it to the Contra in Nicaragua, which overthrew the forces, which included my fam, because he thought that communism was a problem. And historians say that he was a great man, but I'd rather listen to my mama. Yeah, I'd rather listen to my mama. Yeah, I'd rather listen to my mama. So that's that song. The question that I like to ask people when I do that song is, what's a piece of history that that you feel like is underreported? Because I think a lot of people don't actually know the full extent of the Iran-Contra affair, but it was bad. The U.S. was bad. Not the only time. And then this other song, this is about a Nicaraguense folk heroine hero named Rafaela Herrera y Torinosa. She lived in a castle. The British were invading because they wanted to take over the waterway there. They thought it would make a good port. There's a long history of people invading Nicaragua from British people and Americans too. And she was young, and her father was supposed to protect the fort, and he was very ill. And he said, "You have to protect the fort." And she said, "Okay, I'll find a way to protect the fort." And she was really kind of ingenious about it. My partner and co-producer Audrey's gonna sing this one with me. Yeah.
Here's Cleo.
And this is our cat. She won't sing.
She might.